Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of the Uncover Greatness podcast. I am your co-host, Suleiman Steele, and today we are joined by Nicole Mitchell. For those of you who don't know, the Uncover Greatness podcast is a weekly podcast that we do, which we basically focus on business, mindset, entrepreneurship, and every month we have a brand new topic that we cover. And this month's topic has been drawing a line in the sand. This would be the final episode of the Drawing the Line in the Sand. So Nicole, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, welcome. It is great to have all of you join us on the podcast. And as Sully said, my name's Nicole. I am part of the Uncovering Greatness team, and pretty much what I do is I help you get yourself out of the way of you. So I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a place where you know you need to do something, but you just cannot bring yourself to do it. Well, I help you put yourself in a space where you can do the things that you actually need to do.
Yeah, and I feel like that's, as I've said probably for the past 2 episodes, I think that is, I feel like it's almost like the epitome of drawing the line in the sand, like getting yourself out of your own way. So what I wanted to actually talk about this week was, how would you say that you've been in any situations this week? I mean, this past few weeks or this past month where you've had to draw a line in the sand, how have you done it? Because I know I have like a ton of things and it's actually been quite cool. What have you experienced in terms of drawing the line in the sand?
Drawing a line in the sand is not easy. It's I'll use the example at the beginning of the year. I drew up a list of goals that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
In the next 12 months, and something as simple as, for those of you who don't know, I am a CrossFitter. I love CrossFit, and so one of the things in order to keep improving in my CrossFit, one of my goals is to stretch 3 times a week.
Okay.
And come last night, I was looking and I go, wow, I only stretched once this week. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And of course, 8:30 Sunday evening comes, and I still haven't done any stretching. And I'm going, it's 20 minutes of stretching. That's all I've got to do. It's not difficult. And it's just the way things work. You go through the afternoon, 4 o'clock, you're like, okay, I'm going to do it now. And then something comes up, and then, okay, well, then I got to feed the dogs, and I got to do this, and or it starts raining, or what have you, and then it's like, okay, and then my husband phones, because he's traveling, Barry phones, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm just about to stretch. So as soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm going to do some stretching.
Yeah.
And then sort of 7:30 comes, and it's, so my daughter phones from England, and I'm chatting away to her, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be stretching. I need to get off the call, and sort of half an hour later, we're still chatting, and I'm going, still haven't done my stretching. And then it's now 8:30, and I'm going, I'm so tired, I need to. And that's when it's like, no, I'm not going to bed. I'm turning everything off, and I'm going to take out the flipping yoga mat and do some stretching. Take out the GoWord app, turn it on, and just stretch.
Yeah.
And that's, the moment you make that decision, because before it was a case of, I need to. So I need to stretch. And I keep telling myself, the whole week I've been telling myself, I need to stretch.
Yeah.
But I haven't drawn the line in the sand going, I am going to stretch. It's very different. So the moment I did that, like at 8:30 last night, it was like, if I don't draw a line in the sand now, it's going to be 9 o'clock, and I'm still going to be sitting here going, I need to stretch. And the week's going to go by, and it's like another week without doing my 3 days. Okay, I'm going to stretch now. And the moment I made that decision, then it was easy. It's like, okay, turn everything off, turn the TV off, and just stretch.
Yeah.
And that's an example of, it's challenging, and it's not just, like I laugh, it's not just stretching, it's all the little things, and that's just a personal goal. In business, it's this same sort of thing. We've got to make those, draw the line in the sand. I need to make my 5 phone calls. I need to draw up my Excel spreadsheet. I need to get this report done. I need to do all these things. And we keep telling ourselves we need to do it. but we don't actually say, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
Or by 5 o'clock, I will have it done. Or before I go to bed, I will have stretched, even if it means I have to go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. And the moment you do that, you draw the line in the sand, I will do it by then.
Yeah.
Not, I need to do it. Yeah, I know I need to do it. Everybody knows I need to do it. I still haven't done it yet. So it's drawing that line in the sand and going, by this time I will have it done.
Yeah, I think that's like, it's so fascinating, right? It's how it's 2 words. It's need and going. Like, I need to do this, or I'm going to do this. How important is it to actually, if you know you need to do something, are you actually going to do it or not? So how important is it, especially when it comes to drawing the line in the sand, to go, okay, you know what, I know I need to do it, but truthfully, I'm not going to do it. So why is it there? Like, why is it, because I think like a lot of people do that, right? That, as I believe would be like a lot of people do that with, I need to lose weight versus I'm going to lose weight. Because that's the mind now. Now, what are you going to do to get there, right? How difficult is that part?
It's challenging. It's very challenging. And it is that, like, I was sitting there going, I need to stretch. I really want to stretch. I really should do this. And then eventually it's like, no, do it.
Yeah.
And the moment I went, do it, it became so much easier to do as opposed to when I'm negotiating, because I know I need to do it. But if I win, I know that I need to stretch, and I know that sometime today I'm going to make the call to, whether it's a phone call or whatever in my business, I know that I need to do this stuff. But when you make that decision, I am doing it.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a shift in your energy, which allows you to actually go and do it. And this is where your mindset is what are you telling your mind?
Okay.
So if I have any doubt in my mind, it's actually funny, I watched a study on why, like, confidence and why you should actually tell yourself the positive things versus the negative things.
Okay.
Because scientifically it's proven if you have doubt and uncertainty, your muscles actually weaken.
Oh, wow.
So if you say, I don't know if I can do this. So what the guy did, he had a lady stand up and she put her arm out straight on the side. And then he said to her, right, I want you to say, I don't know if I can hold my arm up.
Okay.
And then he pushed her arm down.
And
it went down. And then he said, now I want you to say, I know that I can hold my arm up. And he tried to push her arm down. And it stayed in the same place. It didn't move. He struggled to push it down. And it's just that, scientifically there's evidence that when you tell yourself, I can, and I'm going to, you will, versus I should, and I need to, and maybe I'll do it later. And, I think, and it's just, there's that, like, some neuro pathways, like you sending the right energy down and I'm not a scientist and I'm not but the short version is you're sending the right energy to the right places so you can actually do things.
Yeah.
And then it becomes so much easier because I am going to do this. And I think of one of the things that comes to mind is when I was a kid at school and I just had my ears pierced.
Okay.
And I remember going home and trying to unclip the butterfly off my brand new studs. Like, had been in for 6 weeks and I was trying to unclip them. And it was so hard for me and I couldn't do it. And I left so when I had to clean my ears, I had to get my mom to ask, I had to say, Mom, please can you unclip these for me so I can clean it and then put it back. And then I went to school and I saw one of the other girls doing it.
Okay.
And I remember coming home and I said, Lauren can do it. Why not? If she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my earring and pulling it and going, yeah, you see, I can. And it was just that belief of I can.
Yeah.
If she can do it, I can do it. And just in that moment, you're actually sending really positive, sort of strengthening energy to yourself through belief and things like that, that you can. This is why it's so important what are you telling yourself?
Yeah.
When you're drawing a line in the sand, are you telling yourself that maybe tomorrow I'll get up and go for my run because I did commit that I'm going to start running, and I'm going to start running now so that it becomes easier during winter? Or are you going, it's not negotiable.
100%.
This is what I do. I get up at 5 in the morning and go for a run. It's very different to, maybe I'll get up and...
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think it was at Circle, and on the podcast you spoke about your gym partner, your CrossFit partner, having that any of the workouts that were put up for the what's it called?
The Pretoria Throwdown.
For the throwdown. And I mean, she could have went in there going, I can't do this. I can't. And then it would have been pretty much been the end of your guys' throwdown.
Before we even started.
And I mean, that's kind of what happens with people, right? Before you even start something, it's already ended. Like you're saying, it's ended in your mind and in your body, because you're like, I really can't do this. And then that's it, right? Because I think about with a while ago with the websites, I was very much like, I can't figure this out. Like, I don't know how to do this. And it took like a month, 2 months maybe, to change that sort of thinking. And now everything around it kind of flows with that. So you're speaking about what you're telling yourself and what you do tell yourself. But what happens when the universe draws a line in the sand for you? Like, how do you maneuver that? Because I feel like this incident, what happened on Friday, was pretty much it was the universe saying that. How do you deal with that?
So it's interesting. The universe is going to throw you a curveball always. And I genuinely believe that the universe doesn't give you something you can't handle. And so a lot of times, people go, I can't do that, and they just give up and they quit, and that's when they pull themselves out the game, and they will never grow or shift or become bigger or better because they pull themselves out of the game. And it's exactly the same as my partner in the CrossFit competition. If she'd have gone, I can't do this, she would have pulled us both out the game.
Yeah.
Versus she went, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to do as much as I can. And I mean, in terms of Friday, it was no different. So what happened on Friday, in terms of I'm driving down the middle of town, and my car just stops, and the clutch started shaking, and that was it. Car's not going. And so what happened is I pushed the car over to into a parking bay, and it's amazing. Like, again, the universe provides. Just in that instance, I remember sitting there going, "Oh, Flip, put your four-way flashes on. I've got to find somebody to come and push the car." And the next thing, this policeman appeared and came to my window. "And were you okay? Can I help you?" And he stopped all the traffic. He helped me push the car out the way, or car guards to come. He was amazing in terms of here's my phone number, here's my cell number. I'm patrolling the area. I'm going to check every half an hour and make sure that you're okay. Please let me know once you get sorted, so that we're aware that you're okay.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely amazing. And anyways, got the car pulled over to the side, and my car was full because we're busy moving officers. So that was the first thing. Is now. And for anybody who knows me knows that I pack the car like Tetris, and you will not fit anything else in the car. When I've packed it to
sneeze, can't even sneeze.
Anyway, but it was great because I phoned Sully. I said, "Where are you? Can you come meet me?" And it just so happened, the way that I had packed the car, that we could move into the car. the car without leaving too many boxes on the side of the road. We didn't have to unpack the whole car to repack it. We literally packed a quarter, repacked a quarter. I had such a chuckle because we didn't have boxes everywhere because we're in the middle of town and there's people everywhere and you can lose boxes then very quickly. So it just worked amazingly. And then, it was just like, I sent Sibby, I said to him, off you go and unpack the car and then come back. In the meantime, I'll go buy a tow rope and you can tow me. And it's ironic how things work because I have towed people and I have been towed, so it wasn't an issue for me. So it has never towed anybody or never been towed. Nope. And so I gave him like one line of pointers. And which was when the car types accelerate, and it's quite ironic just how events happened. Anyways, we halfway through our start and I was trying to give him more pointers. He's like, no, let me do what you're doing and you do what I'm doing, we'll switch. And in that moment, I'm like, maybe I should tell him that what I'm doing is harder.
Good.
And he was like, nah, we'll leave him. Kid, he knows what he's doing. And this is where it's also quite, you do have to laugh because just because somebody acts like they know what they're doing, it doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. Sure. And, as soon as I got in the car and I felt the car and I was pulling off, I was like, okay, so it doesn't know what he's doing. And then it became a case of, like, do I stop the car and tell him? And then I was like, no, I'm not stopping the car. Because if I stop the car now, this is a point of no return. No. If I stop the car now and get out, he's going to get out and he's not going to get back in. Because it's a challenging space for Sibby.
Sure.
And so I kept going. And eventually he got the hang of it. And so off we went, started the cars. And, off we went. And, you look back and it's like, he got out of the car and I think he was white. And, when we got to the mechanic where we were driving the car off, he's like, we're on a hill and he like slams on brakes. He's like, I'm not going anywhere then. I'm like, you have to take the brakes off so we can pull the car up the hill. As soon as we unhitch the tow rope, the car's going backwards. But it was fine because, we got the car up the hill to the mechanic and what have you. But you had to draw a line in the sand. Yeah. Because you didn't have any choice. You were chucked behind the steering wheel of a car that was being towed, and that was it. And once we were moving, I wasn't stopping. Yeah. And you had no choice.
There we go.
And it's those points where you kind of go from the beginning where it was like, oh, shucks, what have I got myself into? Yeah. Where you got to the end where it was like, it's okay, I can actually do this. Yeah. Then you started to get the hang of it. And sometimes that's the best way to learn. And it's the best way to draw a line in the sand is you just get chucked in the deep end. And that's what happened on Friday. You got chucked in the deep end and you had no choice and there was no stopping because once we got onto the main road, there was no way for us to stop and say, okay, cool. So, and it just became, you had to go with the flow and you had to, what's the right word? You just had to deliver. Really? You couldn't sort of sit there and go, I'm doing this because you were either going to crash the car or with something.
But then on top of that, we had an event. So we didn't have time to don't know time.
And yes, we also had an event that we were setting up for, so we didn't have time to stuff around, and we didn't have time to sit on the side of the road and go, oh, woe is me. And if we could, there's lots of other people we could have called to come and tow the car, but they would have been an hour away, and that was an hour we didn't have. Yep. And so it became, the universe drew a line in the sand for us because it was a case of, you're going to do something you've never done before, and you're going to make it happen, or, you're going to collapse in a ball, and that's it. And, you know, so often I think that's when we actually find out how much we've grown, how much, you know, when you've been working on mindset, often you don't see the results until something like that happens. Because I also know your growth has been phenomenal in that probably 3 years ago, I wouldn't have even been, no, we were trying to fix your cat. But my car stuck over the side of the road. Please come fix it.
Another foot better into Bauer.
And this is where it's so, like, you look and you go, wow. Sometimes we have to the universe has to draw a line in the sand for us so we can see how much we've actually grown and how much more capacity we have.
Yeah.
Because from there, after, you know, like what I joke, I say, so we went white because he was so pale after that experience, and I'm pretty sure he saw it, and so his words, he saw all his ancestors, and he was glad he joined them. Because that's how we felt in the moment. But, you know, and looking back, it's like 3 years ago, I don't even think I would have phoned you. You know, never mind, had you come help me tow my car, go fetch another car, help set up for an event, help deliver the event, get everything set up at the event. You know, before it would have been, okay, so you just go to the event and you set up and I'll make a plan with the car.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay.
You know, that sort of thing, but it's just sometimes the universe draws it on and stand to show you how much you've actually grown. And we often underestimate those things, and we get so caught up in the event and the stuff, we don't actually stop and take a look and say, wow, look how much I've changed and grown.
Yeah.
Because 3 years ago, if you'd have phoned me and said, I'm stuck, I would have said, I'm not coming. Find someone else.
Yeah.
Or what do you expect me to do? Like,
Why are you calling me? A weird call for me to make it.
Whereas this time it was just so easy. It was like, this is where we are, come meet us. And then, right, what do I do? Okay, this is what I want you to do, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And it was easy to give you instructions, and you just were, one, you were willing to listen, and two, you were willing to do it. So it was like, well, now the car's full, go to the office, unpack the car, you know, and which you did, and then come back. This is the next step. Then, and it was, I didn't give you the whole process at once. It was like, this is your next step, just go do it. And that was another thing that's so important, is you need to be in a position to, if I had given you the whole process of what we were going to do, you probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
It was too much, but you could handle one thing. And sometimes when we have knowledge, that's important how you share it. Go do this. And that person can then go do it. Whereas if I had said to you, right, so that you're going to unpack the car, you're going to go to the office, you're going to repack the car, then you're going to do this, then you're going to come back, you're going to go by a tow road, then you're going to come tow me, you're going to go white in the process.
Yeah, well, that's switch my brain.
It would be way too overwhelming. But just by going, okay, this is our next step.
Yeah.
Right, go do that and come back. It puts you in a position where you were like, oh, I can do that. Okay, and so you did it. And then, right, come back. Okay, let's do this. Right, and then, so we went through the process. And, I mean, there was a point where I think I said to you, okay, I want you to wait for Michaela. And you said, no, please, can I go? Would you bring her? And I just said, okay, no. You remember this? I also knew that you were also running in a space where you were dealing with what you could handle. And so if you'd have sat down, you wouldn't have got back up.
Yeah, it would have been
It was too overwhelming. So it was a case of, cool, no problem. You go and I'll catch up with you and I'll bring Michaela. So it just, and that's where it's so important when you draw a line in the sand. Make sure that the person you draw a line in the sand with can keep up with you. Because if I go back to CrossFit and my CrossFit partner, if I'd have told her in the beginning what she was in for, I can almost guarantee you she would not have, she wouldn't have signed up.
Yeah.
And she even said that to me at the end. She said, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know it was going to be this hard. And I'm so glad I didn't know, because then I wouldn't have done it. And it's the same with towing the car. I don't. If you'd have known how hard it was going to be, I don't think you would have done it.
No. But I mean, I feel like that's also such an important part of leadership, right? Is when you draw, like something you said just now, is you've got to be able to draw a line in the sand. If you're drawing a line in the sand for somebody else, you've got to allow them to get there, right? And I think that was actually such an important thing for me, because without realizing it, I drew a line in the sand when you asked me, do you know how to tow? And I was like, no, I get the basic premise of it. It seemed easy enough, right? But I could have went the other way if I said, no, I don't. And I'm terrified of doing this. If, like you had said in the beginning of the podcast, if I had been telling myself negative things, I probably wouldn't have even gotten the tow rope onto the car in the first place. Like, that was already a panic for me, because I was like, how am I gonna, where does what go and this? And it was, for me, what was actually massive was being able to be led in a calm manner, right? You weren't like, come on, sweet, do it like, where I feel like sometimes that's where most leaders make that error, right? You lead from the place of, you should know this, or it's a simple thing for you to know. Whereas you drew a few lines in the sand for me, which allowed me to get to where I needed to get to per step. And that was like, even like I got home on Friday night, and I was just like shattered. But when I thought about it, I was like, man, what a freaking experience. Like, that was really, it was hard, but it was cool. But it wasn't, I could have easily tapped out.
Yeah.
Easily tapped out. And like you said, 3 years ago, having been through a lot of what I've been through, tapping out and just being like, I'm like, nope, that way. Now it's like, okay, cool. Well, I don't know how, but let's figure it out. And I think that is so important when it comes to drawing the line in the sand, because like you're saying, you may not have, sometimes you actually don't need all the information right, to draw a line in the sand. You just need to be willing.
Correct.
And that was like, wow for me, because I think that's where a lot of people miss it. It's the piece of, you've got to, if you're going to draw a line in the sand, you've got to know that you're capable of doing it. And that was like, that's a funny example. I mean, it's a great example because I feel like it does apply to business as well. And I had one of those weeks where it was, I didn't make my 30 calls last week. So I drew a line in the sand and I'm like, by Tuesday, I'm making these calls so that I can do what I need to do. And then I have capacity to make more calls if need be. And that's like such a game changer. So any final thoughts, final piece of advice when it comes to drawing a line in the sand? I think that this was such an awesome topic. And I think for me personally, the way that everything that you've taught around this topic this month has just been like mind-boggling to me. You know, every time we speak about it, I'm always blown away. So any final thoughts you may have on the topic of drawing a line in the sand?
Yeah, I think you've got to have clarity on what the goal looks like, because you got to know what the end result is. So for me, the end result was not actually getting the car to the mechanic. The end result was we need to set up for an event. And if I don't get the car to the mechanic, that's okay. But I was focused on the end result was I needed to get all three of us to, it was you, me and Michaela, to the event to set up so that we could host, sort of 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
So and that for me was, I wasn't focused on getting the car to the mechanic. I was focused on the end result, which was delivering the event. And so often we draw a line in the sand and we haven't looked far enough. Because if we'd have just focused on, let's get the car to the mechanic, we could have cancelled the event and gone, too late, so bad, sorry. But it wasn't about that. It was about the drawing the line of the sand was actually, we've got an event to deliver.
Yeah.
And so it was only when we got home at 10 o'clock that evening was like, okay, now the line in the sand is drawn. Everybody's home safely and events delivered, cars are safe, we're all good. Then it was like, okay, cool, that's the end.
Yeah.
And so many people don't plan far enough ahead. Like they see, oh, I just need to get the car fixed. Instead of, I've got to deliver an event and get home.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. Try to complete that cycle.
And it's completing the cycle. So when you're drawing a line in the sand, it's like the story of Mount Everest. you can climb Mount Everest and you can get to the top, but you still got to get there.
Yeah.
And people that have died climbing the mountain are generally people that only planned to get up. And they used all their reserves to get up. They forgot they needed some reserves to get back down. And it's just so important to make sure, where is your line? When you draw a line in the sand, make sure it's far enough along the chain. So like climbing Mount Everest, it's getting up and back down. Mm-hmm. It's not just getting the car to the mechanic, it's getting the event delivered and everybody home. So yeah, make sure you look far enough over the fence to know where you're drawing the line in the sand.
Oh, yeah, that's another great example there. Because I think I think I could add something to that. That was too good. So, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. This was Drawing a Line in the Sand for the month of February. Next month we head into March, and next month's topic is super exciting. It's another one that I enjoy. The topic will be, it's simple, not easy. And that's going to be cool, because I think I speak about it today in the meeting. Nicole said, ooh, that could go anywhere. I was like, yes. So I'm very excited about that. So you guys can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and any other place that you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, every Thursday we host the Circle of Influence Breakfast at Corporate Conference Center in Edenvale. $150 gets you in, but for your first time, it's free. I'll put all those details in the comment section so you guys can check that out. But yeah, thank you, Nicole, for your time, for your knowledge, for your teachings. It's always really powerful. I know it's helped me. If you guys have any comments, feedback, anything you guys want to share, please leave it in the comment section. It will be much appreciated. And yeah, we will see you guys next week for another episode of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Cheers.